your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Say you will.
Shout it right now, baby.
Say you will.
Come on, come on.
Say you will.
Come on and shout.
Say you will.
Yeah.
Shout.
Buffalo's happening now.
Shout.
We're on the move now.
Shout.
The Bills are happening now.
Shout.
They're making it happen now.
Shout.
We got the spirit.
Shout.
A lot of spirit, yeah.
Shout.
We got the spirit.
Shout.
Just watch it happen now. Hey, hey,
Hey, hey,
hey,
hey, hey.
let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
If the Bills make you shout, then you're in the right place. This is the Mafia Minute, and I'm one of your hosts, Jamie G, Esquire, the fifth master of salary cap gymnastics. Just call me McBean, baby. I'm here with the Soupdeucer to talk about the greatest team in the history of the multi-universe in any spectrum you could ever possibly imagine, the Buffalo Bills. Soup, say hi to the Mafia.
What's up, Mafia? It's me, the Soup. I am here on the Mafia Minute with Jamie G, and we're here to talk about what's happening with the Bills right now, man, in the off-season, early stages off-season, man. So bring it in, dude. What's going on, man?
Yeah, let's get into it. Before we dive into free agency, we got to talk a little bit about the coaching staff. Defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier announced unexpectedly that he's taking a year off. He's not doing it for health reasons, and he's not necessarily retiring. He's just taking a year off. This caught the entire organization by surprise. At least that's what they're saying. Definitely the players, but he is expected to return in 2024. Just general thoughts here. I mean, to me, it feels like this was the Bills did not say or state at all that he's expected to return to their organization in 2024. Just that he's expected to return. To me, this felt more like a really, I respect the shit out of you. We're not going to fire you, but we need to go in a different direction. That it felt more like that than just something random that's going on with Leslie Frazier. I think this was, we're not going to fire you because of the man you are and because how much we respect you, but we need to have a different defensive philosophy. I really think that's what this was.
Maybe I think it was more mutual than that. I think maybe he decided he needed, because why not just try and get on the market and go to a different team? Maybe he needed a little bit of time, to try and figure shit out in his own head and, step back and take a year off of football, which is odd because you don't see that happen very often. But maybe, every once in a while, somebody might need that kind of thing, man,
Yeah, well, that's it could be, man. I mean, and I think in time we'll kind of learn what it is, but
or
we have to replace
or maybe it's
him.
just the Bills organization giving him the long goodbye, dude. I don't know,
I think it is, but I think they kind of knew we had to get better on defense, and it wasn't good enough. But
I mean, this is a guy
we got to replace him.
Is arguably arguably up for head coaching jobs and shit, definitely.
Yeah, but he never got one.
So much now, so maybe that factored in on his mentals and was like, step back and fucking figure this thing out.
And the Bills' defense was wildly successful, but it's a specific scheme that they play, and honestly, it just wasn't good enough the last couple of playoff runs. So we got to replace him. Who do you think is going to call plays on the defense? I mean, the word on the street is they're looking in-house, and it's a real possibility that Sean McDermott might be calling the defensive plays this season. That news broke at the combine, where he's expected to do that. I mean, he's obviously been a high-performing, elite defensive coordinator in the past. That's what got him a head coaching job. And there's other NFL coaches that call defensive plays for their team. I think Dennis Allen of the Saints, Brandon Staley of the Chargers, and Todd Bowles of the Buccaneers. So thoughts on McDermott calling plays here?
I'm not against it at all. I mean, McDermott is a defensive mastermind, man. If he wants to call fucking plays, try it. I mean, I don't think it'll be that bad of an idea. I mean, is it going to be putting too much on his plate? That would be the only downside I could see there. Will he be able to focus on all of that at once? But I do think if you were calling defensive plays, and then we could be in worse hands for sure. So I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and if you went back a couple of years ago, the Bills defense was kind of struggling, and McDermott actually stepped in and started calling plays for a couple of games. So it's not the first time, even since he's been with the Bills, that he's called plays. So and they made a big signing that kind of flew under the radar on their coaching staff, and that's senior defensive assistant Al Holcomb. He was worked with Sean McDermott and Brandon Bean when they were in Carolina together. He's widely respected as a really great defensive coach. He has experience, and our defensive line coach Eric Washington has experience as calling plays. So I think they've got people there on that staff. I don't expect them to go out and hire somebody new and bring in all new assistant coaches. I think this is going to be kind of just fill it in house and we're just going to be a better, more aggressive defense is what I'm hoping. But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those changes as we move on. Let's get to quarterback. Okay, let's start there at the top of the list here. Case Keenum, our backup from last year, he signed down with Houston for the Texans, and we had an empty depth chart behind Josh Allen. I think we still got what's his name,
Barkley.
I think we still got Barkley, but I don't know why I drew a blank on that. But we needed a backup here without a ton of cap space or options. We did an Allen thing. We signed Josh Allen's buddy. I didn't realize he was boys with Kyle Allen, but we signed Kyle Allen to be our presumptive backup here. Might not be the sexiest signing, but Josh Allen wanted him. They met during pre-draft training back in 2018, became really good friends and even roommates. Soup, thoughts on this? I mean, we couldn't really go out and spend a lot of money, so.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I would have maybe liked to have seen a veteran presence in there instead, but I mean, hopefully we don't see the backup quarterback. I mean, that's always the number one. You want to go through the season, not have to worry about having to see that guy on the field, unless he's taking a knee in the fourth quarter or some shit. But
the role's really in the quarterback's room, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where you want more of a veteran presence. So I was kind of thinking, maybe it would have been more beneficial to get an older, veteran type kind of guy in there. But hey, man, if they think it's a good fit, I'm behind it.
Yeah, and let's not forget. I mean, Josh Allen isn't a rookie anymore, man. He's heading into year 6.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's seen a lot. And I think their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey's really kind of that veteran presence in there. Until very recently, the Bills were looking pretty bare at running back behind James Cook. They renegotiated Naheem Hines deal, so he's going to be back, and I'd expect him to be the primary kick returner, and maybe do a little bit more on the offense than he did last year. I'll have a full offseason to kind of get the playbook underneath him, and also give Dorsey a chance to kind of figure out how to use him. But in the end, he and James Cook are similar players. Almost immediately after the news broke that Devin Singletary signed with the Texans, the Bills signed former Patriots running back Damien Harris to a 1-year deal. He had a lot of success for the Patriots. He killed the Bills multiple times. He struggled with injuries last year, but he's a different kind of back than Singletary. He's more of a power back, kind of one cut and go, hits the hole hard. He runs with an authority. It can make him a more effective complement here to Cook and Hines. And so, Soup, I mean, thoughts on this? The one thing I will mention that Singletary got 1 year about $3.75 million. The Bills got an absolute steal with Damien Harris, 1 year, $1.7 million. So basically half the cost.
I mean, definitely a good deal when it comes to numbers and everything, man. I don't know that it's as flashy as even a Zeke Elliott or an Eckler or fucking Derrick Henry, who was all possible talks, previously leading up to this. Signing Damien Harris, though, I think it's more of I think it's a little bit under the radar, but I think it's a good move, man. I mean, it'll definitely add a little bit of diversity to the backfield there, man. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
got a little bit of thunder and lightning going here with Harrison Cook, though. I really like this, and I don't think he's a total zero in the passing game. I think he can be good in the screen game, and I like the way he runs. I mean, I've watched him tear up the Bills for years, so it's nice to kind of get him on our side. Let's get over to the wide receiver position. And, I think it's fair to say that we were disappointed with Gabe Davis last year. There was a lot of hype. He was supposed to emerge as kind of this bona fide number 2. And we were hoping he would take that big step forward. It just never materialized. And it's looking like he might be, it's possible here. We need to accept the fact that he might just be kind of a deep threat, more so than a well-rounded kind of run all the routes, possession, typical wide receiver 2, type of athlete. Barring a trade here, I mean, he's definitely going to be back this season, and he got endorsed by Brandon Beane, but there's still some questions at the wide receiver position. And we cut IMAC, a fan favorite, Isaiah McKenzie. We signed wide receiver and punt returner Deontay Hardy, formerly known as Deontay Harris, out of the Saints, New Orleans, 2-year contract, $13.5 million, $5 million guarantees. He's a core special teamer, but he definitely flashed, and they look at him more than just a situational deep threat. They look at him as a player that can play, all 3 positions, outside, inside, in the slot, go deep. They really like his ability to kind of develop into a more rounded wide receiver. That's certainly why they paid him and why they brought him in. We also added former Dolphins wide receiver Trent Sherfield. Like Hardy, he's a tad undersized as a receiver. He's an excellent, got excellent deep speed. He's a valuable special teams option. I think Trent Sherfield flashed last year for Miami. Some people are down on him. I like this signing a lot. Miami was disappointed to lose him. He was third on the team, behind their top 2 weapons.
This is a under the radar one, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but is he or is he not the one that took it up the ass on the butt fumble?
He was the butt fumble. Yep, he definitely was the butt fumble.
Or the butt punt. I'm sorry, the butt punt. Yeah,
the butt punt. Yeah, it was the butt punt. I like both these signings. I know people are going to be like, oh, they just replaced McKenzie with more smaller, quick receivers. I don't think. I think both of these 2 players are better receivers than Isaiah McKenzie. Isaiah McKenzie is more of kind of like a gimmicky type player. I mean, I love IMAC.
Like with Gabe Davis, it's not consistent. Like, I want consistency out of these guys. Now is this a sign? Signing these couple wide receivers is kind of like a sign saying that maybe Beasley is not trying to come back. Also,
I think Beasley would love to come back. I just don't know that the Bills, want him. I think they want to get younger, so yeah. I mean, I don't know if this kind of spells the end for Beasley or not. The Bean said they're not done yet, so we'll see. And it's a pretty good start, but it's not enough, right? I mean, there's still a few options available in free agency. Obviously, we talked about Odell Beckham Jr. a lot over on our main show, Joe Blow Football Show. DJ Shark is still out there. Mecole Hardman are still available as we're recording this. And DeAndre Hopkins, Nuke, is available via trade. So, Soup, if we add another wide receiver, should it be through free agency or in the first or second round of the draft?
To be totally honest, I don't really know who's out there in the draft or enough about the contenders out there in the draft. So I would only be thinking about free agency here now. And if that were the case, then I still maybe think let's go with the draft, because a lot of people like to make a big splash in free agency and get these flashy players right away. I like the idea of going under the radar and not getting these huge name players, because there's just as much chance as those people bust that there is on a fucking draft pick, man.
Yeah, well, that's certainly true. I mean, look, DJ Shark could be an interesting option for us. Obviously, I would love to have DeAndre Hopkins. If we could pair Hopkins with Stephon Diggs, that would be a real juicy wide receiver core.
You get something like that, but then you're based on, right away, you're based on a reputation, which is scary enough to fuck up a defense, just based on the reputation alone going into it. But then if there's production too, then it's like, oh fuck, yeah, that's DeAndre Hopkins, and oh yeah, now I remember why that's DeAndre Hopkins, So if it pans out something like that, then, yeah, it'd be great. But how often does something like that actually work out?
Well, I mean, I think if we put DeAndre Hopkins on our team, it would be he was good, last year when he played. I mean, the guy can still play. I think that it's just a matter of can we afford him. I think they're going to lean towards, the draft, first or second round. I think they'll lean at getting another weapon in there, a young weapon that they can control the contract on. I think that's really the game that they have to play. They've got their quarterback right. They paid some key people. Now they need to draft well and get good pickups that aren't as expensive, that are going to be, contributing members of this team, like a Damien Harris. So I just don't see them being able to spend money on these free agents. I think they're going to go in the draft. Let's finish up by discussing some other notable contracts. We did lose starting middle linebacker Tremaine Edmonds to the Bears. And look, we'll definitely miss him, but they gave him an absolute ridiculous deal. I mean, 4 years, $72 million, $50 million guaranteed, makes him the highest paid inside linebacker, middle linebacker in the league. Absolutely ridiculous. No way we were ever going to match that. Even if we had the salary cap, I don't know that we would want to pay $50 million for a linebacker. But we did balance that out by extending Matt Milano. That saved a little bit of cash. And then we re-signed safety Jordan Poyer to a 2-year contract. Hopefully he finishes his career there, and hopefully he gets a Super Bowl. So happy about this for the defense, or were you hoping they would do something else?
Yeah, no, I mean, if I had, like I said earlier before on our last whatever, when we were talking about this, if I had the choice between Edmonds or Poyer, I'd rather take Poyer because of the Poyer-Hyde combo back there. The problem with losing Edmonds is, I mean, he was great for the team. We're gonna miss him and everything else and all that. But who's gonna be the middle linebacker now, man? I mean, Milano's still there, but he's not gonna switch position. We need who's gonna be that guy, man?
Yeah, look, we I'm sure that I think that the Bills knew they weren't going to be able to maintain and keep, Edmonds. So I'm sure there's a plan there, and that could either come in the draft. There's still a couple notable free agents out there, I mean, some kind of stopgap players that could be available for us. Bobby Wagner comes to mind right off the top of the head as they draft someone. But there's also a couple good linebackers in the draft. So, it's possible we may have a rookie, filling in that spot this year. We do have one more notable signing. We added former Cowboys starting guard Connor McGovern to a 3-year, $23 million contract. He's expected to replace Roger Saffold, who was 34 and just didn't look like himself at times last year on the Bills' offensive line. I think the word with McGovern was he kind of struggled a little bit with run blocking last season, but he was certainly an elite pass blocker. A lot of teams don't like to hand out sizable contracts to guards, but it was kind of a move that I think we had to make. I mean, it's not Mike McGlinchey money or anything like what some of the other interior offensive linemen players got throughout the league, but it's enough of an investment to be like, okay, that guy's going to start. Roger Saffold could not come. I mean, the guy's 34. He just wasn't good enough last year. And our offensive line at times wasn't good enough. So, I got to trust the brain power here. And I really like our offensive line coach, Aaron Cromer. I expect this to be something he feels like he can work with. I expect him to be involved in that decision. So, I'm gonna kind of take a wait and see approach here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. I'm with you on that one. I do think it's important to beef up that line a little bit. That definitely was an issue last season. So to get more, I like the more run blocking. So I'd like to see more out of the run game. Pass blocking is great, but get Josh more protection too, man. He takes a lot of fucking hits back there, dude. And some of it may be with them scrambling and whatnot, but all that aside, he gets fucking. He'll get bombarded sometimes, man, and and that's on the offensive line. So hopefully we can kind of beef that up a little bit to where that doesn't happen as much.
Yeah, I hope so, and I hope we, I think that look, we needed some competition there. This gives us the ability to not have to go out and burn a first or a second round pick on an interior offensive lineman, which, don't get me wrong, is a decent strategy, but I think they really want to add weapons on offense for Josh, and I think they want, we've got some needs on defense. I think we would rather draft, an edge rusher, a D tackle, middle linebacker, a corner. Like we've got other needs. This team under Sean McDermott has proven they want to put first round draft picks on the defensive side of the ball. It'll be interesting to see if we maybe change that this year with a weapon for Josh, but this gives them a little bit of the ability so they don't have to. So far so good for the Bills this season. Unfortunately, we got to wait a long time before we watch them play again, but lucky for you guys, the next episode of the Mafia Minute will be here before you know it. We love you, Bills Mafia, Bills fans, Western New York in general, all of Buffalo, all of Western New York. We love everybody.
716.
Exactly, except Patriots fans and Dolphins fans and Jets fans and Tom Brady and Cowboys. But mostly everyone else, we love you. Thanks for checking out the Mafia Minute presented by the Joe Blow Football Show. Find us on our social media at Joe Blow Show, and you can find us on YouTube by searching for the Mafia Minute or by going to the JoeBlowFootballShow.com. Until next time, hey, go Bills.
Hey, and don't let them fool you. We love all you guys, man. So, friendly competition. It's football, dude. Hey, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Throw your hands up and throw your head back and come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout, yeah, 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 yeah.
Say you will.
Shout it right now, baby.
Say you will.
Come on,
Say you will.
come on and shout.
Say you will.
Yeah,
Shout.
Buffalo's happening now.
Shout.
We're on the move now.
Shout.
The Bills are happening now.
Shout.
They're making it happen now.
Shout.
We got the spirit,
Shout.
a lot of spirit, yeah.
Shout.
We got the spirit.
Shout.
Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
The Bills make me wanna
Shout.
Bueller. 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 Bueller.